Hi everybody, so sand batteries, they're the up and coming thing and they're super interesting. And they're super interesting because they can store heat. Now the best way of thinking about a sand battery, I think, is to think about a hot water bottle. With a hot water bottle, you boil some water pretty quickly and pour it into the bottle. These things are kettles. They're about 3 kilowatts or so. So you turn it on for 5 minutes, get it boiling, pour it in your hot water bottle. That hot water bottle will stay warm for absolutely ages. The reason is we put a lot of energy into the water and that energy is going quickly. But by its nature, it comes out slowly. So we get the same amount of energy out as we've put in, it's just we've changed it. We've changed it from quick to slow. And of course that makes hot water bottles immensely useful if you've got backache or stomachache, and really popular. But water, well, it's great, but it has its limitations. One thing is you can't get it hotter than 100 degrees centigrade because, well, it just boils away. I mean, you could put it in a pressure vessel, but then you need a pressure vessel. So water has severe limitations and there are better materials around. Turns out sand is pretty awesome for taking that energy in quickly and letting it out slowly. And of course this stuff you can take 600-700 degrees centigrade, no problem at all. So you can get an awful lot of energy in there. Now, there are better materials that will do a much better job. The limitation on them is they're a bit more rare and they're certainly more expensive. This stuff, of course, is absolutely everywhere. I mean, it's dirt. Hence, it's dirt cheap. So it's really cheap, really available, does an excellent job, and that makes it an all-round winner for a commercial installation of a sand battery and for thinking about sand batteries, because sand batteries, in the same way as a hot water bottle, take the energy in quickly, let it back out again slowly, and we still get an awful lot of ambient heat from something like this, where we can charge it up from maybe the mains, or from maybe renewables, particularly wind that requires something like this. So, what do we need to do that? Well, I pointed out earlier, I've got a kettle. This is a normal domestic kettle that I got from my local supermarket for £5. It never ceases to astonish me how cheap these things are. Right in there, you can see a heating element. Let's take that heating element out. So, in here is some of this stuff. This is resistance wire. It's the kind of wire that you find in a toaster, it's in your oven, it's in a hob if you've got an electric hob, it's in a kiln, it's in a vape cigarette. And the property of this is that when you put a current down it, it'll get hot. I've strung some there, which is a bit difficult to see, but it's right there. And if I turn this up to 12 volts, okay, I'm applying a DC current at 12 volts, it's about 2.5 amps going through it. That wire is getting hot. I mean, it's a bit hard to see it, but if I have a bit of polystyrene, then I can cut through that polystyrene with that wire. There we go. And that is how a polystyrene wire cutter is made. So all of this stuff is made from basically the same thing. And it doesn't matter if direct current or alternate current goes through it. What you need to know is what is the resistance, then what is the voltage, and that'll give you the amount of amps that you need to draw, because it follows Ohm's law. And it follows Ohm's law if it's DC or AC, because it's a straightforward connection. And it doesn't matter if you connect one end to the negative or the other end to the negative. As long as there are 2 wires attached to it and you put a current down there, that wire is going to get hot. And that is coiled up in there. Now this has about 2 ohms. This has about 26 ohms. It's not just a coil of wire in there, it's also packed with magnesium oxide. And the magnesium oxide is an insulating layer. And then of course we have this metal pipe surround, and in this case it's stainless steel to protect it from the water. But all that is a coil of this stuff in a bit of pipe. Okay, let's review that for a second, because it is kind of important. There is a relationship between volts and current and resistance, and of course that's Ohm's law, V equals IR, where V is the volts, I is the current in amps, and R is the resistance. Or another way of looking at it is that voltage divided by the resistance equals the current drawn. So when this was in a kettle, it has a resistance of 26 ohms. Let's make it simple and call it 24 ohms, just for the calculations. When it was in a kettle, we plugged it into the mains at 240 volts, for example. So 240 divided by 24 is clearly 10. So it would draw 10 amps. Now if we take this and attach the same thing to a 12 volt battery, so suddenly instead of having 240 volts, we've got 12 volts, then it's now 12 over 24 because the resistance is still 24 ohms, and of course it's now going to draw half an amp. So we can draw half an amp safely on this. We know we can because we can draw 10 amps safely on this. So a half amp, absolutely no problem at all. Now the issue is, of course, that the power, watts, is volts times amps. So when it was plugged into the mains at 240 volts, and we're taking 10 amps, it was the 2.5 kilowatt kettle. Now we're going to plug it into 12 volts and it's half an amp. It's dropped down to 6 watts. So this is a 6 watt heater if we put it onto a battery. When we put it into a kettle and plug it into the mains, it becomes a 2.5 kilowatt kettle. The only thing that's changed is the voltage. Once we change the voltage and we keep the resistance fixed, then as the voltage goes up, the amps will go up. As the voltage goes down, the amps will go down. And it's easy to calculate using ohms or what it's going to be. So you just measure the resistance of this. Remember, these things, it's just a coil of wire. It doesn't matter if it's on the mains AC or if it's on a 12 volt battery. We can use that as a 6 watt. Okay, fascinating stuff, but big whoop. What can we do with it? Well, we can use it to make a sand battery. So here's my heating element out the kettle. If I clip a wire on there, obviously if you're going to make this permanent, you make a permanent clip, and another wire on there. And what I've got here is a cake tin, and the cake tin has a layer of sand in it. Now pop that into my cake tin and add more sand over the top. What we've got is a sand battery. Okay, there's my sand battery, and I put that onto a power supply, or alternatively a battery or something like that, and turn that up to 12 volts. There it is. It is indeed drawing half an amp, actually 0.42. Now, what's going to happen there is that's just going to heat up. It's going to heat up at a rate of about 6 watts, and it's going to get hot. It's going to get as hot as it can get, and that's in hundreds of degrees with sand instead of with water, which would only be 100 degrees. So the longer you leave that to heat, the hotter that's actually going to get, right the way up there, as long as it's not giving the heat out. Okay, so that's got nice and hot. It's actually about 200 degrees centigrade, hence the gloves. And of course, you want to get the energy back out, because that's a bit hot to be putting on your belly button, because it'll sting. So the traditional ways of getting the energy out are basically to put a coil of copper in there and run some water through. The water is obviously going to heat up, and then you can use that hot water to do stuff. That's one of the ways of getting energy out. Another way is to actually attach a Stirling engine. If you attach a Stirling engine to it, of course, it's going to keep running. What I've got here is what's called a Peltier device. You find these in the little home fridges that you've got. And if you apply a current to this, it'll create a hot and a cold side. If you have a hot and a cold side, it will drive a current. Right here is a big block of aluminium, nice and cold. Here I've got my Peltier device, I'll pop that on there, cold side down, hot side up, and then we're going to pop that onto the device. Now that device I've got attached, or I will have attached, to this little motor here, and as we lower that on, that motor's going to start turning. And there we go, the motor turning like crazy, and that will turn for some considerable time while there is a heat difference created here from the heat that we stored in that sand, and we're now reconverting it back to electrical energy. And that is why it's called the sand battery, because that's going to run for some considerable time. Now, of course, we're just doing a demonstration model, so you can see the idea, we can talk about the theory, you see the parts that it's made up of, but clearly we're just letting that in the ambient air. We get much more out of this if we put a thick layer of insulation. Now, obviously I'm wearing gloves, that's pretty hot, so you would want to put something on there to stop you having to touch it, or go near it, or burn yourself accidentally, obviously. And you'll notice it's not actually plugged in, so there's no trickery going on. It's just hot sand and a Peltier device. You arrange that, or maybe like I say a Stirling engine or something like that, you are going to have a sand battery that you can charge. Now obviously that charging, you can do it from the mains during off-peak periods, you can do it from renewables, and then you can reclaim the energy. It's more traditional to reclaim the energy by running the copper and using the heat energy that's in there, but that heat energy can be directly translated into or back into electrical energy. The problem with Peltier devices is they're not very efficient. So in this arrangement, it's not a very efficient way of doing it, which is why they tend to do the hot water. And as I said, this is only a demonstration. Other things you'd want to do is certainly include insulation. You'd probably want to include some kind of control over the heating, and that's easy enough. You can get these things which are called thermal cut-off switches. This one's 200 degrees centigrade. You put that in series with the supply and just cut it off when it gets that temperature. Less than £1 for something like that. This thing is a microcontroller, temperature controller. It's about £3, and this runs up to about 120 degrees. Same thing, you stick that little sensor into your sand, wire that in series, it'll cut off the supply once it reaches its temperature. Now it's very traditional in wind turbines to have something called a dump load, which is basically just a resistor. Instead of having a resistor, if you put that resistor in sand, and remember that heating element is nothing more than a resistor, you put that in sand, then you can capture the heat that you would normally dump when a wind turbine's going too fast. So there's just so many uses for this. You could either use it as an emergency store, you can convert it into hot water, you can convert it back into electricity, you can use it to save energy from a wind turbine that you normally throw away. Fascinating thing, so I thought I would go through how you might actually make one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe.